This is about choosing a niche when you like two or more. And I see there's a typo when I was writing this out. So, choosing a niche when you like two or more of them. And we are going live on both YouTube over here, and then we're on Facebook on this side over here. So that's cool. We're going to see how this goes. Like normal, I hope that people could hear me. I see Mark over on the over on the YouTube side. If you're just joining, let me know if you could hear me. Either on both sides. If you could hear me, say, "Hey Doug, I could hear you." I see Ronit over there. Thanks for joining. Also, let me know where you're from. In fact, if you're joining right now live, that's great. Let me know where you're from. Let me know where you could hear. Thanks, Mark. Emil, I see you over there. I'm going to do my best to manage questions on both sides, but even if you're watching the replay, particularly on the Facebook side, because I know the replays will be going through your feed, you could ask questions there. And you could also let me know where you're from in the comments. So just say, "Hey, I could hear you," especially on Facebook. I see MH over there. What's up? Thank you. So, like I said, if you're joining later, that'll be cool. You could still ask questions there. I see Ashad, appreciate it. And of course, this is all about choosing a niche, especially when you like two or more of them. And that's the hard thing to do. And this came up a lot because people are taking the course right now, 5-Figure Niche Site. People are in the course. They're going through the brainstorming sessions. They're going through just keyword research and looking at different niches that are available for them. It's really hard to choose. In fact, in the course, I'm telling people to come up with like 10 to 20 different possible niches that they're interested in. One of the reasons why is, a lot of them are not going to be viable. They're not going to be good niches to select. So when you come up with a lot of ideas, then you have the ability to choose later on. Now the thing is, when you do narrow it down, you'll end up with a few choices. It's kind of hard to choose, and a lot of people will ask me, what do I do to figure out which niche to go for? Both of them seem great. I like the products in both. The price points are pretty much equal. How do I choose? It's a little hard to do. But there's a couple key things to look at. So number one, the thing that most people try and do is to sort of, they are trying to lower their risk. And what they do when they are choosing a niche, they'll find two that they like, maybe more, and they'll think, you know what, I don't know which one is the best one, so I'm going to choose both of them. I say, hey, I'm going to choose both. They'll create two sites at the same time. And they think they're hedging their bet. They think they're spreading the risk, diversifying. People talk about diversifying because then if they have two sites and one doesn't work out, well, at least they have the other one. There's a huge problem with that. And I almost never see it work out, by the way. So what people often do, they'll launch two sites and then they'll do some work over here. They'll do some work over here in parallel. So let's just say they're able to produce 20 pieces of content over a month. We'll just make up some hypothetical scenario. So the thing is, they could post 20 pieces of content on one site, but instead they end up posting 10 pieces on each site. And let's say they're working through the process of hiring people, editing the content, publishing it, that sort of thing. They're learning, each time they publish something new, they learn something. And the problem is they publish 10 pieces here and 10 pieces here, and then inevitably mistakes are going to be made. Some people end up just, maybe they upload images that are too large. Maybe they don't put captions in the images. maybe they're using the wrong headings, and they realize they shouldn't have used, you know, H1 headings throughout the whole or the whole post. And then they've done that on like 20 pieces of content on 2 different sites. Well, that's a problem because now they have to go back and correct it on both sides. So, and I see more and more people are joining on YouTube and on Facebook. So just give me a shout, by the way. We'll just pause for a second. I'm Doug Cunnington, by the way. I don't know if I've said it in this session, but you probably already know if you're watching this. I'm Doug Cunnington. I'm the founder of Niche Site Project. We're talking about choosing a niche if you like more than one niche. So basically, what people end up doing is, instead of implementing something, doing some work, and then learning about what to do, mistakes that they made, learning from their mistakes, they end up making the mistake over and over again in different places. The ideal way to do this is to, you know, publish some content on one site. You learn, you know, over the let's say publishing the content, you learn each time you publish some content. Then you can fix the issues as you're learning, instead of making the mistake twice as many times on 2 sites. Then you have to like fix it in 2 different places. And the problem is you didn't take advantage of the fact that you were learning through, you know, experience and making mistakes. So the best way to do it is to really, you know, implement it in one place and then take what you've learned and do it better later on. If you just keep making the same mistakes in parallel, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Now it gets even worse, right? I've seen this done before. Actually, I've done this before. About 3 years ago, I thought, hey, I'm going to launch a case study. I launched 4 new niche sites all at the same time. I was doing a little experiment. Hey, I see Sunny over there. Welcome. Where are you from, Sonny? Be sure to write where you're from. Let me know if you enjoy what I'm saying, or you like what I'm saying. Give a thumbs up or like it, or something like that to let me know if something good is happening. So about 3 years ago, I launched 4 sites all at the same time, and it was very similar to the scenario that I described. I was like, I'm going to publish like 10 pieces of content on each. David, what's up? Good to see you. 10 pieces of content on each of the sites, so 40 total. I could have posted all 40 on one site and like got some more momentum there, but instead I spread myself thin across 4 sites. So I was really overwhelmed. I always felt like I was behind on every one of the sites, and like I just ended up getting totally stressed out. It was not super cool. It was kind of like a bad 6 weeks or so. Eventually, if people followed me for a while, eventually like all 4 sites were penalized, which was like a real bummer. That was a huge amount of wasted time, and I probably wasted a couple $1,000s in content and just time investment overall. So that was a bummer. It would have been much better if I just worked on one site and then pushed it forward. It took me another 6 or 8 months before I just focused on one site, and it turns out that's like one of my big earners right now. And yeah, David, that's right. If you're watching live stream, you can't watch it in double speed, so you have to deal with me speaking slowly and stuff like that. So as we're sitting here, so I'm going to explain a little bit more. Of course, we're talking about what you're supposed to do when you select a niche, when you are trying to decide between multiple niches. So before I get into the punchline of this whole thing, I will go answer the questions on both sides. So feel free to start typing in your questions now, and I'll scroll back through as best I can to answer them. If I don't catch it on the live stream, I'll go back and I'll go back and answer them in the comments, of course. Again, if you're watching the replay, feel free to ask questions. I'll come back and answer them. Okay, so if you like more than one niche or sets of keywords, there's a couple things that I would do. So number 1, if there is some common ground between the niches, because the niche some people will define it a little bit differently. And I'll just make up some examples. Hopefully they won't be any sort of like, real sites like out there. I hate to like out anyone's like niche or site or anything specific, but I'll use some like more general stuff. So, in fact, there's several videos I've done where I tear down the. Sorry, I'm just gonna adjust something. It looks like a button was getting pushed on my phone where I'm streaming over there. Just want to make sure nothing freaks out. So I do a lot of video teardowns on affiliate sites. So there's some that I've done on like Outdoor Gear Lab. So I use Outdoor Gear Lab as an example. So let's say you've identified some great keywords, some great niches, and let's say one's around like hiking, right? So there's a lot of equipment that a person can use around hiking. And let's say the other niche that you figured out is around, backpacks, right? So again, the definitions are loose, but sometimes people come to me and they're like, I like backpacks and I like, hiking gear. And they're like, I'm going to do 2 sites. What should I do? Here are my 2 niches. Well, that's an easy one for me because I can, easily say there's a lot of common ground between the people that are interested in hiking and the people that are interested in like backpacks. In fact, there's a huge overlap, and if you have identified 2 niches that are like pretty similar, you should actually combine them into like one site, right? And in that case, you can just focus on a certain set of content and products at first, then you can add more products as you go. And it turns out if you're thinking of Outdoor Gear Lab, you can see there's tons of products, right? So you can go watch the demo out there that I put on YouTube, and we look at it in detail, but you can see really easily that it's something that you could combine, right? So the first case is figure out how to combine them if they're similar or at least like kind of similar. Now, if it's like Outdoor Gear Lab and Baby Gear Lab, so I'm trying to just do stuff that I've talked about before. If you've identified like, say, strollers and hiking gear, well, they don't really go together and you can't really combine them. I also don't really like the top 10 sites for normal people like us. If it's a big media company, right, they have top 10 sites and that seems to work out well. But if you're just trying to compete as a little guy against like the huge companies, you're going to have some issues because you're going to be spread too thin. It's not quite going to work out. Okay, and the other thing is just more of a focus idea, right? So if you are launching your first site, or at least if you're early on and you're like not building a portfolio of sites and you're just trying to build 1 or 2 sites over the next period, let's say the next 18 months or something, and you're just getting started, you need to just pick one niche, right? The thing that we have trouble with is we think we can't come back to this stuff later, right? We think if we don't launch both of these sites now, the opportunity's gone. But that's just not true, especially when you think about like niche sites as a business or something that can replace your full-time income. Your timeline should be much longer than like a few months. It should be years, because when you think about it, people spend years getting an education so that they can have a long-term career. And if you're thinking, hey, I want to have a site that generates a cash flow each month for like 6 years, well, you have plenty of time if you spend 1.5 years working on the one site so that it'll last for 6 or 7 years and bring in regular revenue that whole time. It's really quite a bargain to spend 18 months. So the point is, you can spend the 18 months getting the site ramped up, and then once it's in a stable place, in sort of with sustained growth, where you just need to check in on it, well, then that's the time that you start the second site. Maybe it turns out you're not as interested in that other topic and coming in while I'm streaming. So, okay, hopefully on the YouTube side it continues to play. I'll need to figure out how to make that not happen anymore. But, so, okay, coming back to it, and it's such an inopportune time also, right? So sorry about that. Basically, you need to pick one. You have plenty of time to build other sites in the future, and if you decide you want to build a portfolio of sites because you just can't stay focused and you have ADD or any of the other descriptors, or I really think they're excuses, but any of the other descriptors that people may say, you just have to pick one. Like anyone that I talk to that's really successful, they pick something, they worked on it for a pretty long time, much longer than most people would, and they learned a little extra the whole time. Really pays off to stick with it for a while. Okay, so I'll summarize real quick and I'll come back to the questions. I see several came through. Keep writing the questions in here and I'll get to them. So again, if you're watching the replay, let me know where you're from. You can ask the questions in the comments and such, and you'll be able to see my answers that I come in with later. Number one, if you're trying to pick between multiple niches, see if there's a way that you could actually combine the ideas, because a lot of times you do have the opportunity to do that. Number two, if you have more than one interest, and I'll extend this too, if you have more than one interest, I challenge you to just pick something, pick one, stick with it for a while, work through a couple of the dips, the hard parts, and then if you don't get traction or you find out it just turns out you're not interested in that type of work, that's cool. Then you can move on. But what you don't want to do is find something you're super interested in for 3 weeks and then work on it hard for 3 weeks, and then find something super interesting that's different and new, and then you hop over and you work on that for 6 weeks, and then you stop that and then you go over to FBA and some other thing. You're trying to do a dropship site, and then all these other ideas that you have. If you just pick one, usually it'll work. If you try and execute it, it'll usually work. Okay. I'm gonna go. I saw just a couple questions on Facebook. So earlier I mentioned I got 4 sites that were penalized. They were penalized because I was using private blog networks or PBNs. So now I don't use them. Most of the time I advise people not to use PBNs unless they are experts in PBNs, and then normally it's usually better to outsource that work rather than or outsource the links rather than to actually manage the network, although it just depends on how big you are on systems and details, and I guess auditing your sites to make sure they're really good without footprints. You don't want to have footprints. That's how my sites were penalized. Okay, and I see I'm going to go over to the YouTube side, and I wish I could reach a little farther so it's not so in my face right here. Okay, and there's a lot of questions here. I wonder if there's a better way for me to go through them than just to look at the little screen here. Okay. Thanks everyone for saying hello, by the way. Mark from Philly, Ashad, and I hope I'm pronouncing everyone's name properly. I'm doing my best, so I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Oh, and from Nepal, Ronit, Sunny, Cool, David, and Brian. Yeah, I'm going to try to do this at 11 o'clock this week and see how it goes. Jimmy from Virginia, nice. Oh, and Sunny, I didn't know you were from South Korea, nice. All right, get into some questions. David asks, or David says, I'm working on 3 sites right now. Would I host them all on the same server? Potentially, I would definitely want to make sure that the server could handle the traffic. I can tell you right now, my individual sites are hosted by themselves. Like I don't have other sites with them. So it just depends on how much traffic you're getting. But my sites get enough traffic; they need to be on their own site, or sorry, on their own hosting package. And I'm using like a WordPress optimized hosting. Okay, good question though. Jimmy says, researching for site to earn cash. Have to go. Check in later. Cool. Thanks for joining, Jimmy. Appreciate it. Steven, thanks for telling people to thumbs up. Yeah. If I answer your question or you like what I'm saying, definitely give me a thumbs up. The reason why I ask, like, from a YouTube perspective, like, the more interaction that people have with the videos, like, the better it is, as far as, like, helping my channel and stuff, which is helpful for me. So that is exactly why I ask. Stephen asks, I wonder what the strangest niche is. Could get a little crazy, I guess. And I see Tara Kwal from Bangladesh. Welcome. Iris says, combining niches that are similar or have overlapping interest is a great approach. Yeah, and I think a lot of times, like, if you can get kind of close, like, that'll work. Assad says, how many sites do I have at this point? Less than 5. I don't have very many. Ronit asks, what's the best affiliate network? You know what? I'm not super familiar with like lots of affiliate networks. I primarily work with Amazon, but if you're looking for like diversity of products and stuff, ShareSale seems pretty good. But for me, Amazon is what I focus on. Ronit also asks, what kind of links do I build? You could call them, white hat links, so primarily through guest posting and blog commenting. And let's see, Ronit also asks, do I do affiliate or do I also do local and other stuff? I just do affiliate, and I have an internet marketing blog, so I sell a course called 5-Figure Niche Site also, but my main, income is from affiliate sites. And for some reason, old Facebook is trying to reconnect over there, so that's too bad. Doug said, or sorry, Ashad asked, Doug, how many sites do you have? So like I said, less than 5. How much am I making from those sites? I don't publish how much I make like total, but there are sites that are making 5 figures a month, which is good. Or in combination, to be more accurate. So, and Dcard asks, should I use proxies for creating PBNs? I don't know. Probably not. I think proxies may not be the right way to go. You should probably host. So I don't use PBNs right now, but I could tell you if I was trying to lower the risk as much as possible, I would host on premiums like hosting companies and make sure that my footprint is non-existent as far as a hosting is concerned. And Ashad asks, have you read a recent article on guest posting? Yeah, so basically there was on the Search Console / Webmaster Tools, like Google posted something that said, hey, if you're doing guest posts for link building, we don't like that very much. You should only do pure like white hat networking and that sort of thing. So to answer your question, I'm not really changing what I'm doing because my belief is what Google was talking about. What Google was talking about in that case is like when people try to scale backlinks and outreach, you end up with lower quality guest posts, and usually they're like on lower quality sites. So my belief is Google was talking about people that are trying to scale their outreach and send out hundreds of emails per week and really not making the internet a better place, to speak sort of generically. So that's not what I do, by the way. So the outreach that I do is like relationship building. So I'll tell you exactly what it is. Super simple. Go comment on someone's blog like 2 to 5 times or so. email them a couple times, develop a relationship with them, and then ask for a guest post. And basically, you can get a guest post if you are friends with people. that's pretty simple. And the problem is, right? A lot of people will say, "Hey, Doug, it takes a lot of time to do these blog comments and then send the emails." That's great, yeah. Like that's the whole point. I'm getting links that other people can't get because they don't put the time in because it takes a long time. Most people don't want to do that work. So that's why I'm not really going to change what I'm doing. However, I will tell you, and I'll probably publish something soon on this, although I guess this counts if we're publishing this. I believe, the way people are trying to scale guest posting right now, like things are going to change. Like I think there's going to be value in figuring out how to get links by working offline for a component of it. So for example, let's say I identify a particular, I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, okay, I was talking about backpacks before. So let's say I contact a bunch of backpack manufacturers on the phone and talk to them and ask them about, stuff that they are working on as far as marketing and if they needed any, partners. And not that I want any free products, but I may just, see if anyone wants if the backpack companies need any sort of like web help or if they need anything shared. Then I've called someone up, I've talked to a person, and there's a relationship there that can be developed into guest post, or maybe I write a review about the backpack or a backpack from that company. Then I just reach out to them and say, hey, can this review that I've done be linked from your website? Maybe why don't you share it on social? It's a nice review. So I think the thing that'll be coming up soon is like work offline a little bit to get the links, because a lot of people are not going to be able to put in the time and effort to get those kind of links. So okay, I don't want to go on too long on that. Let's see. And then Terraqual asks, do I use PBNs for my niche sites? The answer is no. So the other question goes away. How many guest posts do I suggest to do per week for a 1-year-old site? As many as you can do. Do as many as you can. I feel like maybe you wanted to ask a different question. But yeah, if you could do 10 per week, do 10 per week. All right, Iris asks, how do I monetize my sites? All through Amazon Affiliate, Amazon Associate Program. And then Iris also asks, and thank you for marking those as questions. It's nice. Let's see. With my niche sites, what have you found to be the best tripwire or giveaway to use for building your list? Well, two things. I use a content upgrade, so it's directly related to the most, or directly related to the post that brings in the most traffic. So I've built email lists with over 10,000 people using this, so it's just a content upgrade. And then the other thing that I would add is that I recommend that you don't try and build an email list unless you're getting like 500 to 1,000 plus visitors per day, because if you're not getting that level of traffic, you probably need to focus your time on getting traffic, whether it's through adding more content, writing better content, or getting more backlinks. What you don't need to do is launch a site, put some content up, and immediately start building your email list. I can give you many examples, but I'll tell you the site that Rob and I were working on for Project Go White Hat. Benjamin, welcome from Utah, nice. And then the site that Rob and I we're selling, right? We're selling the site for Project Go White Hat. Basically, if you look at the amount of traffic that we were getting, it seems like we should grow an email list, but none of the content was really oriented around building an email list, and we didn't even really care about growing the email list. But the site was making 10K a month before Amazon changed the commission structure. And our focus, like 100% of our focus, was to get people on the site and then get them over to Amazon. And it worked really well. We didn't need to worry about building the list. In fact, I think we had like an opt-in on the site for a short period and then realized that maybe we were just wasting our time on it, and we went back to only focusing just on getting more traffic and then getting them over to Amazon. And it worked out well. Okay. I think on the Facebook side, I don't see any more questions coming in. Thanks for joining, MH, Ivan, and Gary. Appreciate it. And I think any more questions over on the YouTube side? I see like one or two. Ranit asks, if I log into my money site and PBN from the same computer, is that a footprint? I don't know. Some people are really paranoid about it. Again, I don't use PBN, so I have no idea. But if you really want to be careful, then log in from different computers and use a proxy and all that stuff. It's better to be safe than sorry. But at the same time, I would say it'd be really weird, I think, if Google knew, right? Like think about this logically. If Google knew the computer and IP address that you were logging in from, and they were tracking that, and they were tracking how you were logging into your WordPress site, that seems like a little crazy to me. I don't think they do that. So, Ethan, welcome from Kenya. Awesome. And Benjamin says, and thanks, Benjamin. I know you've sent me some stuff in the past. So, Benjamin asks, how much can you sell a Flippa starter site built from scratch? How much can you sell? I don't know. I have no clue. I would just go look on Flippa and see what other things are selling for. I mean, for me personally, like the value of a starter site is like next to nothing. I've mentioned it before. I'm a real sort of control freak. I like to have things done a certain way. So for me to actually buy a site, I would think they did a bunch of stuff wrong, personally. But like, I want to say I have seen them sold for like a couple $100, but I mean, I feel like whoever's buying it really isn't getting much value for people trying to sell a site like that. I mean, the thing is, sites are valued based on their earnings and profit. So like if your profit's zero, the value of the site is only like the base content, and there's not much value in you assembling a site because it's pretty much like a commodity. Terraqual asks, can I do paid marketing on AdWords or Bing for Amazon niche sites? Yeah, you can. I think your value proposition is not going to be high, so most likely you have to be pretty good at running ads to make the math work out. So you could do that, but I don't know anyone that's doing that specifically. And then Benjamin says that makes sense. Good. I like it. I like it when the answers make sense. All right. Cool. I think we are good to go here. Thanks for joining. We're going to do this all week long, same time, same place. Looks like YouTube won by a large margin over Facebook. And I'll tell you, it's way easier just to manage one side instead of both. So, cool. Sounds good. And I will mention, if you are watching on YouTube, I just published a SEMrush video, or it came out a day or two ago, but check that out. It should be like sort of near the top of my video list. And, like I said, like and share, leave a comment, say, hey Doug, I like what you did there, you did something dumb, or work on your speaking skills, something like that. Even if it's negative, love to hear it. So, all right, we'll see you tomorrow. Everybody have a good day. Later.